Hi YouTube, this is Darkon633, and today I'm bringing a review of the Transformers Robots in Disguise 2015 Minicons. Now this is the first wave of the Minicons, and looking at the boxes alone, as you can see, there are 2 Minicons that were featured in the show released in this line so far, and 2 extra ones that are just released alongside them in the first wave. Now the 2 Minicons that were featured on the show is Slipstream and Dive Bomb, which is in a very strange colors. He does have red on the show, but just not this much, since he should have mostly been purple with red outlines throughout its body. But anyways, each of these Minicons are about $5 at Target, and it's unknown if they're releasing at Toys R Us anytime soon, but I have seen them in the Target in my local area. Each of them come with the plastic trees, or trays, like the release for Fracture, and each of them can actually attach onto these trees as well. So here we go, we'll just gotta quickly attach them, just to show off here. As you can see, that's how they were packaged inside the boxes, and the parts were all over. So, as you can see here, from a pile of miscellaneous parts for the Minicons. Now, I don't have the drift deployer, so I can't exactly show off how it looks like when firing from there, but I will show off the ones from the Decepticons ones here. Now, overall, because of these 2 releases, there are technically 3 Autobot Minicons and 3 Decepticon Minicons within the first 2 wave of the deployers and Minicons. So that's pretty cool that they actually even did not right off the bat. But anyways, we'll now look at Slipstream, since we haven't seen an Autobot one yet. To transform it, it's really simple. All you need to do is pull, and that's it. Then for Sawback, all you need to do is pull this piece, and that's it. For the Decepticon ones though, even though it's technically 1 step, they have to do an extra step to fully transform. So technically it's 2 steps. First you pull this, and then you pull out the feet. So yeah, technically that is 2 steps. Same thing with Dragonus here. What you're going to do is pull out the wings, and then you actually need to pull out the tail. So there you go with Dragonus. And there's the 4 Minicons together. Now we'll quickly look at just a random box. So we look at Sawback's box. As you can see, it's a very thin box. There isn't a whole lot to expect here. The back it shows the accessories and how they was packaged and so on. And it shows that it can't work with the scanner app. So that pretty much gives you an idea of what there are on the boxes. But anyways, we'll look at Slipstream first. Sorry, I kind of slipped there, ironically. As you can see, he's in this nice red paint job all around, but that's pretty much what you're going to get. He does have a face sculpted in, and it's painted a bit too, but a lot of the other black details are missing, and a lot of the orange details are missing throughout the body, which could have been used to make it more accurate. We'll now look at the other show, Minicon Dive Bomb, and as I mentioned earlier, he's in a quite strange paint job, since most of his body should have still stayed purple, and they kind of just went with the whole red with purple, so it is a bit weird. I do like the face sculpt though, it looks very nice. The other 2 Minicons are obviously toy exclusive as of this recording. It's got a very nice wolf-like design with this really long tail. Looks really nice, but he isn't that much painted. As you can see, it's mostly just blue and some silver, but that's it. And then for Dragonus, which I think is the most impressive out of them, is this really nice, cool dragon Minicon that apparently Fracture uses. I'm not sure if they're going to be in the show, though. But anyways, I'll be back to show you each of the individual Minicons with the pieces attached to them. Anyways, I'll be back. And we'll start with Slipstream. Now, I have a little problem with my Slipstream, since for some reason one of the flames, this one, doesn't like to stay on very well. As you can see, it's very loose fit, and I think it's just because the shoulder armor is not really pegged in very well together, and it's a shame that it's not able to do that, even if obviously most of this is not show accurate to begin with. Now, what's really cool is that I really like the design of this, since it does give him this very nice lion motif over his body, and the orange parts really do complement the red. If I remember correctly, he's actually one of the ones that cannot fully transform with all the weapons attacked. As you can see, yeah, it stops a little bit, because I think it's the head and the swords that are causing the problem, so that he can't fully transform. Now what's cool is that actually removing most of the armor, if I remember correctly, he actually did have those swords in the show, and he does have the little arm gauntlets. So this, at least, is actually quite accurate. And I think they did an okay job representing the character. I just wish it had a lot more articulation. We'll now be going on to the next Minicon. And now the next one is Dive Bomb, the only other show-featured Minicon released in this wave. Now, as you can see, the armor on him makes it look ridiculous. He's got blades all over his body, and he's got these blasters in his hands, and he's got this very crazy armor motif going all over him, and I think this is just insane. It looks awesome, I personally think, and yeah, I think they did a really nice job making the figure for the limitations that it had. Just showing a close-up of the figure without the armor pieces. We're now just going to remove everything down to the bare minimal. And he actually has parts that are removed quite well, but stay on well enough. And as you can see, it looks really nice, even with the blasters in his hand still. And I think they did a very nice job designing it. We'll now be going on to the other two Minicons that are not currently on the show. And now we have a look at Sawback. Now, Sawback reminds me of Ravage, actually, in a lot of different ways. Just looking at the motif with the weapons attached to the side, he looks very flat. And it reminds me of the original G1 Ravage toy. I really like that they gave a lot of these weaponries to them, and it does give a little bit more play value, but it could have been avoided if they'd at least put some articulation. Now, for the non-show accurate ones, I'm okay for what it is. It's nothing much to expect, since at this point I'm not sure if they're ever going to show up, but at least for the two show accurate ones and the ones that come with the deployers, I really wish they went out of their way and put more articulation on these figures. So now I'll remove the armor bits, just to show how Sawback once again looks without all the armor on, since we're actually quite up close now. And he's actually one of the few, if I remember correctly. As you can see, he also cannot fully transform with the pieces attached, thanks to the head getting in the way. And here we have Sawback close up with all the armor bits off, and besides the fact that he isn't in the show and the lack of paint, I still think he looks pretty decent. And now we move on to the final Minicon that's released in Wave 1. Now it's for Dragonis. Oh boy, where do we even start? As you can see, he's got a lot of crazy parts flying all around. He's got these blades, these little claw pieces, this blaster, and this really intimidating helmet. I think they did a really nice job designing the toy overall. And what's cool is that even with the headpiece on, you could still fully close the armor bits all around, and that's very nice. We're going to take off the armor bits and show how it looks like with them off. So here it goes. Let's see. Remove all the armor bits. So now we have to take a look at Dragonis up close. The head one likes to stay on pretty tightly, so I have to be careful here. Since these are translucent parts, I don't want them to break. Okay, come on. This one does like to get quite stuck, I realized earlier, trying to remove it. I don't know what causes that. It's like a very tight grip on the armor. There we go. And here's Dragonis, fully on by itself without all the armor. And as you can see, it's got a very nice head sculpt and a very nice design. He's got a lot of molding all over, but really could have done with a lot more paint overall. And now we'll see quickly how the Minicons interact with Fracture. Anyways, here we have Fracture, and now we're going to quickly show how it looks like interacting with Fracture with his gimmick here. We'll now first put in Dive Bomb, and then, it's refusing to work the other way. There we go. And as you can see, it actually fired out from there. We'll do the same with Dragonis. Probably play some kind of like bowling or something with these. 3, 2, 1, fire. As you can see, they do fire pretty well out of Fracture's gimmick here, but I did wish that he had more articulation. Now overall, I really like these Minicons for what they're design-wise, though they're obviously not the most impressive toys out on the market. For $5, you're getting a little tiny transferring robot, which does have quite a bit of accessories, but at the cost of articulation, which is a bit of a shame. Now, overall, I still think the Minicons are kind of worth it for the $5 price, but if you're not too big of a fan of the deployers, then it's kind of hard to recommend the Minicons on their own. Though they are a little bit fun to play with, especially since at least they work well with firing out of Fracture and Drift, I think, if I am able to get them. But anyways, please comment, subscribe, and check out Hero Talk over the latest in Hero News. Also, check me out on Twitter under Darkon633, and please check down the channels down below. And hopefully, I'll bring to you better Robots in Disguise reviews again in the future. Anyways, I'll see you YouTube. Bye.